Oh, well, welcome everyone to one of our lovely Growth You webinars. We have such a beautiful guest with us today. Dr. Marcia Haggerty is coming to us from Washington, the state of Washington, and she's close to Olympia. Yes, yeah. And normally, or not normally, but she spends her time in two major places. So home is in Washington, and then there's another home in Alaska. So Marcia is a family doctor. She practices family medicine. And I wrote this down because this is something that not all of you will have heard before, but she is a doctor off the road in Bush, Alaska. So she spends some time in hospital, but also some time out servicing people all over. Do they come to you, or
Well, actually, I'm entirely in the hospital
you're
unless
entirely in the hospital?
I only fly if someone's in preterm labor.
Okay, because
We're
she does.
400
That was
miles
something
away from
else.
the support system. Yeah.
That was something else that I wanted to say is she catches babies.
Yeah.
So one of her favorite things to do. And this, what we're going to speak about today. So the title of this is kind of a light title, Beating the Winter Blues. And today, know that this is a serious topic for many of you. This time of year can be really challenging for all sorts of families for so many reasons. And so we talked about this over 2 months ago, that we needed to do something to support people at this time of year. So this webinar and what we're going to do in the new year for people who have some struggles with mental health, with feeling of well-being, with feeling like they're struggling, we want to support all of you. Now, some of you might be here feeling like you need to support those in your family, in your network, in your sphere. You might feel like you want to support coworkers. You might feel like you just need support yourself. And so wherever you are, whatever you're feeling, you're going to go away today with something that's really going to help to support you, your family, your loved ones, your coworkers, with ways to help to change how you feel at this challenging time of year. And so Marcia sees it all. She really works with everyone. And so this is where her expertise really comes into play in helping to help you understand ways that you can really alter how you feel. And we've both been, I'm Denise Men, by the way, for those of you who haven't seen our recordings before, if you're not watching us live and you're watching this on recording, we have been with Growth You and working in supporting people in growing how they feel, how they can access their state, their mental state, for over 7 years now. Well, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, it always shifts around depending on what we're focusing on. And both Marcia and I work in healthcare as well as a physiotherapist for over 30 years. Marcia's been as a doctor for 15 years. And so our passion is to support people. So that's what we're here to do today. So Marcia, I wanted to get started. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see where we are here. We're going to have to go back. That's not what I want. Hold on. This is a cookie recipe.
That sounds like it would cheer me up. That's perfect.
Right? I know. And, it's always fascinating how things get pulled into, there we go. Let's try that. And let's try that. There we go. And we're going to go back to how people might be feeling this time of year. So you might be feeling like, I love this time of year. I love the light this time of year because it's coming in at a different angle. I love the snow. If you live somewhere where there's snow this time of year, like I do, or you might be feeling like the other half of the slide, that things are not going the way you want them to be going. And so Marcia, share a little bit about why you thought it was so important that we get on today to support people at this time of year in any of the struggles they might be having.
Thank you for letting me do this. I'm enjoying just even being here. And I have been feeling, just like many of us, I think, have been feeling a deep ache in a lot of us, people in our families or people in our circles, or in my case, where I get to work, people that come in to be seen. And there's just so much. And then about 6 weeks ago, there was an article that I got to read in the Washington Post about, they had interviewed 300 mental health therapists and asked them, because of the crisis of how many people are available, how few mental health therapists are available compared to the number of people that really could benefit from being seen right now. They asked them what advice they would give people while they're waiting for appointments or attempting to get on a waiting list. And they listed a lot of things, and it triggered in me that we have this incredible tool here at GrowthU, one of many programs that I have benefited from and my family has benefited from. And I just was really excited to share it with other people, which we'll talk about at the end. And there are a lot of tools that we can give people right now. And before I go any further, I just want to say, if you're watching this because you're so deep right now into that ache, or so deep right now into a hopelessness or a feeling that you can't get past, there is someone that can talk 24/7 for the country of the United States. I can't speak for other countries, but if you just text or call 988, and I don't know if this works in Canada, but if you just text or call 988, whether you're in crisis or someone else is in crisis or just stressed, you don't have to be close to suicide. That is a place that you can always talk. And we have tools to give you here, and a program that can be accessed starting today, or a group program that we'll talk about at the end. I'm just going to pause for a moment and just go back to that article. They did give a lot of helpful tips, and a lot of those tips are wrapped up into some of the things we can help you with. He talked about ways to get on waiting lists and calling around and asking your insurance company if you have insurance, or your workplace if they have employee assistance. And they also said, if you can't get in, or it's going to be a long time, and you're not finding the people you need to speak with in either a spiritual community, or if you don't feel like you've got a family member or a friend, other things that you may already be doing, of course, are tapping into nature, tapping into pausing or meditation, music, writing. You've probably got your own ways of sorting and dealing, and then we can amplify that for you here. And I can keep going, Denise, unless you wanted to ask another question. I have a couple of other things to say. Keep going.
So sorry, Marcia. I did have a pause.
Yes.
And I just wanted to introduce my partner in crime here, my husband, Paul Amend. He was a psychology teacher for over 30 years and also works with all of us at GrowthU to support people. So Marcia, I loved what you said, and we just wanted to pause. And Paul was going to say that in Canada, if there's crisis,
we do have a number. It is, and I don't have it off the top of my head, so I will look that up.
We'll put it in the chat. Yeah. But it's slightly different in Canada, and know that there are crisis lines. There's a crisis line for teens as well as for adults in Canada that people can access. So we'll put those in the chat. And if you're watching this on recording, we'll put it in the comments below where we post it or where we disseminate it. So Marcia, you talked about nature. You talked about music, and I'm gonna flip ahead here. Let's just see. This is something that we use all the time in the programs that all three of us have not only taken ourselves, but that we also help people and advise them through. So tell us a little bit about what this means when we look at focus, self-talk, and physical expression.
So shifting our state can be critical over and over again, or just in a quick moment. It's something we can do fast to shift how we're going through that moment or that day, or it's something that we can use actually to create habits over time. So in the beginning of 2020, I use this a lot when I just had a huge anxiety building up. I was about to start treating people for a disease I didn't understand without treatments that we knew would work. And we were told that we might die in that space, and our debt was crazy at that point, and we had a young child. We were sending out our advance directives to the people that would care for her if both of us medical professionals went. And this focus, self-talk, and physical expression is so basic and so powerful. Any moment when I would start to spiral up, I could just come back. A lot of which is because I was in some of these programs and we had just gone over it so many times. And some of it is instinct. You may already do this, and focus on center, this core, this powerful connection that I know I have with others that are here, or focusing on everything that was going right, or focusing on the laughter of my child. There was a different thing each time. And sometimes I would pull a bunch of them in, and then telling myself, I can face anything. I can adapt to anything. Whatever happens is happening for me. These are and you create your own self-talk, right? Whatever boosts you up and gives you that strength. And then you can see I'm just automatically doing the physical expression, right? Like you just stand up straight or sit up straight and you just feel the strength, and boom. And a deep breath can really help you face the moment. And even little things. This week, my child came home with her Thanksgiving homework, and the teacher had asked for them to write down their traditions. And my daughter said, oh, we eat turkey, sometimes pumpkin pie. And she said, well, that's not really a tradition. Everybody does that. What are your traditions? And she started crying. I don't think we have any traditions. Teacher's like, sure you do. And she came home, and I started feeling like a bad mom. I was like, I don't think we have any traditions. Amy, you're 7. I should really start creating some traditions. Like my parents died when I was pregnant with her. And some of the traditions we had as a child, we don't hold on to anymore. We've chosen to release them. And so then focus, self-talk. Oh yeah, look at all the daily traditions we do. We go outside, we draw together. Like I'm a great mom. That's my self-talk on focus. And then just boosting back up. I'm trying to say you can use this state shifter in a moment or long-term. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's so important because sometimes things can feel really big in the moment. And when we have the awareness that we can change the meaning of the story, that we can shift, because you must see this all the time in your patients when they come in and they're struggling, that what are they focusing on more than anything else?
Yeah. So in my practice, I work in a hospital and I get to talk on the phone to health aides in 28 of our 56 villages. And in the past couple of years, it feels like what was already rough sometimes has gotten rougher. People come in because other people are distraught and into addictions, and people come in beat up, or people come in having hurt themselves or just wanting to die. It's too much. And there's this spiral when we start focusing on what's outside of us and the hopelessness of not being able to get out of it sometimes. And it's tough at first, but once you can find it, it's really powerful to be able to start focusing on the strengths you have inside, regardless of anything that occurs, anything that happens. I know that can sound really easy for me to say when I'm sitting inside a heated house with running water and everything like that. And focusing on what we can do to affect the situation, or how, even if it's tiny, how the situation might be helping in some way, which is tough to do in the moment. But I would say, just like any tough spot, people tend to focus on the worst of the worst, or the fear or the anxiety, which I've been there. And then that can help us spiral out of control into worse spaces.
Well, and just to jump in there, I think, we need to realize, and you may have already said this because it's a couple minutes late, but our brain's number one job is to keep us safe. And so the brain is going to focus on those things that potentially cause danger, that you're seeing these things that Marsha just spoke to, and your brain's going to try to focus on that because it's the number one job is to keep you safe. And so, being able to utilize your conscious brain to say that, okay, I'm strong here and I can handle this, versus allowing the unconscious brain to run the show. And I think that's, really what we like to do here at Growth U, is use those two brains and consciously choose what we want and not what we don't want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so with that, Paul, you taught teenagers for
A long
a
time.
long time, over 30 years. So we bow down to that, just that alone. And for the last 15 years of your career, you were teaching psychology.
I was.
So you talked about the 4 pillars of mental health to your kids all the time.
Absolutely.
So share that with people that are watching or
Yeah,
watching the
I
recording.
think, you know, ultimately mental health strikes 1 in 4 people. So it's 25% of the population. And, you know, it's one of those things we need to talk more about in society. And I think, you know, they're trying to do a better job. And, you know, if you're saying, well, not me, that's denial, you know, that could be the first sign. So be careful. But humor's good. Really focusing on, you know, what we can do as a preventative and a proactive measure is the number one most important thing above anything else is sleep. Sleep is number one. You can't cheat sleep. If you do, your immune system will let you know that you can't do that, right? And your brain will start to break down a little bit. So sleep is key. After sleep, in no particular order, we have sleep, again, number one, exercise, nutrition, and self-love in any particular order. But we have to fuel our body. We have to fuel our brain, right? And the brain can use different fuels. It can use glucose most of the time, but we can also use ketones, and we can use music to improve our mood, right? So those are something that we can focus on with regards to nutritionizing our brain. I think I just made up a new word.
You did make up a word.
Hey. Exercise is so important for our body. Our bodies are designed to move, not to sit still behind computer screens. So get out and just move. There's something called BDNF, which is brain developing neurotrophic factor. You don't have to remember it. It's just really good for your brain. And when we exercise, we release that chemical in our brain, and it's like miracle grow for our neurons. So get out and exercise. And then the last one is self-love. We have to be kind to ourselves. We have to speak like we would to our best friend, giving advice, maybe whose loved one just passed away or they're going through this crisis, and you're being really empathetic. And we need to use that same language with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So those would be the 4 pillars to really focus on. And yeah.
And that gets us back to focus, self-talk, and physical expression, Marsha, right? So, you know, Paul talked about music. Paul talked about exercise. I know that you love getting into nature. So if you had somebody in front of you and you wanted to give them something simple to start with, to really help to change their focus, to change their self-talk, what would you tell them?
That's a great question. I can speak for myself. I like to find art everywhere I go, or what I think might be magical messages everywhere I go. This is the honest truth. So if I'm in a room and there's no nature and no window, which is where I am at work a lot, I will try to find art or comedy in a thought that went through my mind, or in something quirky that I see in the corner that's just a little bit out of place. And when I get to be outside, it's immensely abundant. There's just artwork everywhere. And if I can just focus on one piece and feel gratitude for it, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, Paul mentioned music. And so this is one of the things that, so I should mention, now we've got a few people, we've got a few people more. So let's just see, who do we have here? No, I can't. This is hard when I'm sharing screen, is that I can't see the chat.
Stop share for a second.
I can stop share for a second and we'll come back to it. But I've just spilled the beans that this is something that we wanted to tell you about, which is mood boosters. So Marsha, I know you love mood boosters, and it really shifted how you were feeling. Mood boosters is one of our programs. It's 30 days. And what was so special about mood boosters for you?
Right. I have another story for that one.
Please.
I forgot about that. So first, if you're just deep down and out and you're in that space where you're like, exercise, how am I going to move enough to exercise? Oh my gosh, eat good food. I can't even process what happened today. Mood Boosters is this really unique program that we have at Growth U, where all you have to do is press play and you get so many options. My favorite part were the videos with Tanya and Bobby Jean, because I'll tell you my story right now and then I'll tell you the rest about Mood Boosters. I was in Alaska finishing an 8-day week, And I was told I needed to stay another week. I think I had actually been there longer than 8 days at that point because we were still in quarantine times every time I traveled. I think I'd been there 13 days and I had a 6-year-old at home. And I was told my colleague that was taking over on Monday tested positive for COVID. So I got to stay an extra week. And I was really bummed. I mean, I was crying. And it was right after Moodboosters was released, because if you like to do things solo, you can take this starting tomorrow. I think when you register, you can start the next day and you can do the 30 days on your own, even without waiting for us to do it as a group. But I sat down for the first day and I think it was a Tanya video. And by the end of it, I was standing up and I was dancing. I think the first day was confidence. You know, we go over states like confidence or self-love or peace or vibrancy. And the other press play options that you get each day, almost every day, are a meditation with some breathing, or you can listen to Reggie, the creator of the music that fits each emotional state that we go over. Or so those are the press play options. The videos to lift you up. Every once in a while, there's a video from Rod Harrison doing some teaching, video with meditation, video talking about the music and why it makes you feel the way that you feel. And then there's some questions. Which mood or which state are you choosing today? And why? And how is that going to, how will you do that? It's just a powerful program.
Yeah. And so we know that if you've watched our whole webinar, you've taken away some powerful awarenesses that you can use some very simple tools to start to shift the way you feel in the moment. You've learned that there are crisis lines. Paul just put, I think, in the chat.
I did not, but I can do that right now.
Okay, Paul's going to put in the chat the Canadian number.
Not as easy as the US one. We have more numbers associated.
We have more numbers. But can you tell us again, in the US, if you're in crisis, Marcia, what number to call?
Call or text. If you don't want to talk to a human, you just want to text. Either way, it's 988, just 3 digits, 988.
Easy. And then the crisis line in Canada is the 1-833-585-0445. I believe there's a text option too. And so we will also get that information in the recording. When it's posted, it will be in the notes below. So know that there's help for you when you need it. So please access it. And if you feel like anyone in your sphere, anyone in your family, friends, coworkers could benefit from working for 30 days on accessing moods in a different way and with music that is absolutely incredible and original, right? So it was created specifically by Reggie Carter for Growth U. So it's a beautiful program. And as Marcia said, you could start it tomorrow and we will send you the link with the recording or post it below if you're watching the recording, or you can join all of us February 13th next year, 2023, for, I know, wow, right? 2023, for a advisor-led experience, which Marcia is going to be leading us all. So you will get bonus time with all of us in a Zoom recording or Zoom meeting once a week to be able to go through how you're using these different moods and how you can access different states of being by using some of the principles we talked about today. Your focus, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on what you want or what you don't want? Focusing on your self-talk, right? What are you telling yourself? Are you talking to yourself the way that you talk to a beloved or a child, right? We all need some support there sometimes. And how are you using your body? Are you getting outside? Are you moving your body? How are, there's a beautiful video of Rod and he talks about, are you feeling sad? Are you slouching sad? Or are you up and are you seeing the world? And so it makes a difference how we hold ourselves. So we would really love to have all of you join us, and we only have a small number of spots. So if you want to register for that special experience, February 13th, do it quickly. And if you want to start tomorrow, you can do that too. Marcia, any parting words?
You don't have to be depressed to take it. You don't have to be down.
No, exactly.
You up from whatever state you're in. It's pretty cool. And is there a link out that's available for people if they specifically want the group experience?
There is, yeah. And we will send that out with the recording and post it with the recording on Facebook. So it'll be accessible for anybody who watches this recording and on our Facebook pages as well. Yeah. So email, Facebook, we'll get you. We've got you covered.
All right. And thanks for our live attendees, Ronnie, Kay, and Becca. Thanks for joining us. And for everybody else watching this on replay.
Love you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you for watching the replay. And we will see you on a webinar soon. Thanks, Marcia. Bye.